Owning a bar and making loads of money? That's the dream. Owning a bar, being ambushed by John Taffer, and trying to save face as he brutalizes your finances, your looks, and your personality? Keep watching for what the experience is like.
I've never seen anything like this.
If there's one thing all owners on Bar Rescue have in common, it's that they're drowning in serious debt, and most are on the brink of losing their businesses. Some degree of this is surely an issue. Otherwise, why would they need to be rescued? But it turns out that plenty of these disastrous claims are exaggerated, to say the least. According to BarRescueUpdates.com, owner Ryan Burks claimed that producers even fed him and his wife lines, explaining to them at the time, "For our story, you are losing $10,000 a month and losing your house and closing down next month."
We're about $500,000 in debt here. We will lose our house, the bar.
Of course, none of that was true. But to keep it a little more real, not all bar staff are given the same story to spew. But even so, the common thread is that everyone is provided some kind of story arc, from being ordered to simply play up annoying personality traits, all the way to ignoring obvious boundaries, like hitting on Taffer's wife. That last one led to a physical altercation and a lawsuit. But hey, this is reality TV. Of course, the drama is drummed up for the cameras. If a brick-and-mortar business wants to be rescued by Taffer, the owners better be ready to hand over the keys for 5 straight days of filming. Already 8 seasons in, Bar Rescue is a well-oiled machine that knows precisely how to get the best footage. And that includes a rigid 5-day filming schedule that even Taffer himself has to abide by. The host spends day 1 doing recon in the area, and while he's not physically present inside the bar, rest assured, there are still cameras rolling on site to offer a glimpse at daily operations. It's all part of the setup for a gnarly day 2.
We have no glasses. I'd like to continue the stress test, but I can't.
Famous for its brutal stress test scenario, day 2 is no joke, and it involves up to 20 hours of filming that can stretch until 4 in the morning. Staff then receive retraining on day 3, and day 4 is reserved for the physical remodel, before the big reveal on day 5. It's certainly no walk in the park, but hey, they were the ones who wanted to be rescued. We've all watched enough reality TV to know that plenty of reactions and emotions are less than genuine. Still, it's fairly easy to tell when the feels are real, so producers do their best to elicit some bona fide sentiment whenever possible. To do that, every rescue begins with Taffer's surprise arrival. And while you might assume this can't be a true shock because cameras are already rolling, producers have some tricks up their sleeves to work some magic.
Now they're gonna think that I'm not coming. Now we'll see them for real.
As is typical for more recent seasons, bar owners know for sure that they have been selected for an overhaul before Taffer arrives. But what they don't know is exactly when he's going to appear. In a Reddit thread, Taffer explained that producers give bars fake times, and the only guarantee is that Taffer will not appear at that hour. He could show up anywhere from a few hours from the scheduled time to an entire day before or after. So yes, there is at least a little authentic surprise when Taffer walks in. One of the more memorable altercations on the show involved the fight during the Zanzibar episode in Denver. After bar owner Ami Benari repeatedly addressed executive chef Brian Duffy as "fat boy," Taffer had enough and exploded on the failing business owner.
John doesn't know what he's dealing with. If you think I'm going to lay down and take it, he are 100% mistaken.
According to Bro Bible, Taffer says he wouldn't have gotten quite as angry if the slurs were instead hurled at him. He even held his cool as Benari called his own employees jerks throughout filming. But he wasn't about to tolerate any personal attacks against his friends and professional associates. Still, there's a silver lining to this unfortunate incident. The blow-up turned into a teachable moment for Benari, and he wrapped up his experience by declaring Taffer to be an angel sent by God. You might think that Taffer is the supreme authority on all decisions for the show, and in many cases, he is. Renovations, remodels, culture adjustments, and business practices all land in the hands of the proven nightlife expert. But there's at least one area where Taffer doesn't have full jurisdiction. Series expert mixologist Joseph Brooke revealed that the show's beloved signature cocktails aren't just genius ideas from his and Taffer's imaginations. Instead, it's all about the sponsors. He told LA Magazine they'll usually have a brand or two from their portfolio in mind to showcase for that specific episode. And I'll send them about 10 drinks that fit the criteria, and we whittle down from there. Someone has to pay the bills, and one of those corporations is show sponsor Diageo, one of the world's largest producers of spirits and beer. And while they don't completely call the shots, They always get what they want. Brooke gets to work mixing up some samples, and Taffer gets final say on the finished drink names and presentation. Even if they originate with corporate top brass, we'll definitely cheers to a sippable and perfectly branded cocktail.
Any steampunk aficionado would greatly appreciate.
Not all rules are hard to follow, and it turns out that one of viewers' most asked questions surrounding the show is how much of the bill is footed by the owners. The answer? Absolutely none of it. From construction and consultation fees to decor and inventory, Taffer explained on his website that it's 100% covered by production and sponsors.
We don't know much about the restaurant business, but what we do know is if you tell us what to do, we'll do anything you tell us to do.
It also doesn't cost anything to apply either. But even Taffer is often surprised at how resistant owners are to life-saving changes when it's all available for free. Rumors continue to circulate around the notion that Taffer, as executive producer, gets a percentage of the bar's profits after filming. But that buzz has yet to be confirmed. Either way, you'd have to be crazy to not take some free business advice from the pros. Because any respectable reality show requires some seriously juicy drama, Taffer says the casting agencies that scout for bar rescue require a minimum number of employees in order to be selected. And it makes sense. If there's no one working at the bar, there's no one on screen. And that means there's a lot less opportunity for tensions to flare. Plus, as Taffer noted in an exclusive with MASH, the show really is more about the people than the bars. And a show about people requires, well, people, all of whom are complete strangers to Taffer, thanks to casting.
I'll direct the casting company to some degree, but what I think makes Bar Rescue so successful for so long is the fact that I don't know, and I'm not involved in those things. I walk in completely cold.
But sometimes a moment needs a little more. And if there aren't enough employees on hand for that particular day, it's on the bar to produce the bodies. In most cases, this just comes down to the rigid shooting schedule, forcing a bar to be open when it normally would be closed. But the cameras don't stop rolling because of staff scheduling, because someone's gotta pour the drinks. So, about those employees that might get called in on their day off to film, they also better have some seriously standout personalities. In his Reddit AMA, during the show's early success, Taffer explained that more than 1,000 bars had applied for Bar Rescue, and the few that were chosen featured intriguing people with very compelling stories.
Your bar isn't what's wrong, your character is what's wrong.
But don't worry, being a nice person was not at all a requirement. Taffer admitted that cooperative people who work well together just don't make for great TV. And for that reason, the show isn't looking for owners and staff who smile and nod, readily agreeing with everything Taffer says. Looks like when it comes to reality TV, nice guys don't just finish last, they don't even make it to air. They might be looking for unique character traits, but successful applicants better be able to adapt on demand. Murphy's Law owner, Maria Bedient, revealed to blogger Brent Reeser that producers have specific character roles in mind, and they expect them to be filled, naturally or otherwise. Basically, they get to know the staff and then coach them into playing their assigned parts. As Reeser wrote, the show is scripted worse than professional wrestling.
There's a line that can't be crossed, and that's starting to piss me off.
You might think there wouldn't be much leverage to actually force an employee to adopt a new personality so late in the game, but don't underestimate the power of reality TV. Once the cameras are rolling, most aspiring stars will do just about anything to avoid the cutting room floor. In order to appear on the show, bar owners and employees must play to the cameras to keep the show interesting. But along with being told how to act, some employees are told what not to do, even when it goes against their professional training and better judgment. Maria Bedient revealed that her own horrifying on-air behavior was crafted by producers, and she was pressured into complying for the sake of the storyline, which ended with her own boyfriend fake firing her on camera.
I don't contribute anything to this bar.
You do.
And you want me gone. Okay.
Having been depicted as the lazy and useless manager who's dragging down the entire bar, Maria claims producers instructed her to just sit around and do nothing to help out. Hey, it might be the hospitality business, but this is showbiz, baby.
This isn't just any bar, it's a bar.
By now, we get it. Filming this show requires a whole lot of off-camera coercion and agreements to craft the perfect story. But on rare occasions, re-rescues and updates see some significant changes to the traditional filming structure. And that happens especially when producers return to interview and observe employees back at the scene. Dishing on Pirates Tavern's disastrous two-time appearance on Bar Rescue, the failed bar owners complained that producers had returned to film a single day of operations, but wanted it to look like several days days of shooting. They posted to Facebook, "We had a skeleton staff of former employees who agreed to play the parts. It was basically coerced and staged to be an opening act for a re-rescue. I was told to bring in several changes of clothes to make it appear that filming covered several days." You've seen Taffer sit down and strategize a lot throughout the more than 200 episodes of Bar Rescue over the years. But it turns out that the meetings with the bar owners were little more than courtesy gestures. Apparently, the owners' thoughts, opinions, and feelings actually hold very little water when it comes to Taffer's ultimate plan.
Failure is not an option. No excuses.
As Taffer told the International Business Times, the clock is always ticking during production, and there's little time for wasting precious minutes. And with the stress of staying on schedule weighing heavily on his mind, Taffer easily loses patience with convos that drag on too long. As he told the outlet, "I'm under pressure all the time on Bar Rescue. I can't fall behind. I've got to get through those 3 days. That's what causes my aggressiveness. Sometimes I'll look at the bar owners and I'll say, 'Listen, guys, we gotta get this done. You gotta jump on or I'm gonna run you over.'" For anyone who appears on reality TV, it's pretty much universally accepted and possibly highly anticipated that there's gonna be some media buzz about your show because, hi, why else are you trying to be on TV? But when it comes to Bar Rescue, it's imperative that staff gets comfy with the cameras from the moment filming begins. And that includes every interaction and whatever Taffer throws their way, all while their business is bursting at the seams in front of millions of fans during the stress test.
I am in the presence of a rock star.
But Taffer isn't about any funny business, saying his show is as real as it gets, and he regularly invites press onto set to help improve it. Still, considering everything we know now, it's clear that Bar Rescue is only as real as just about every other reality show. To be fair to Taffer, though, most of the manipulation appears to come from producers off camera, and as far as he's concerned, his own interactions and emotions on camera just may be 100% sincere.
I think my work is done.
I think you did a great job, John.
Excellent, man. That means a lot to me. You're a good guy.
Whatever the real situation with reality TV may be, we can't wait to find out which bar will be next to get rescued from the brink of total disaster. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite reality shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.